everyone, and welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on field data collection, simple field with race dynamic forms. So let's get started by introducing our speaker. Sri Karthik is Senior VP for Business Development and Value Engineering at Innovative. His focus includes business strategy, product positioning, and development in industry-specific solution and portfolios. His experience spans around customer in oil and gas, utilities, chemical, and life science industries, working with clients from different geographic regions. Sri, thank you for joining today. We are looking forward to hearing your insights, so let's get to it. I'll hand over to Sri to kick things off.
Thank you, Nadira. Hello, everyone. Good day. So thank you for taking time and joining this webcast on field data collection, simplified through race dynamic forms. So I'll kick things off by starting off with a brief introduction about the company, who we are and what we do, and focus on some of our workforce management solutions and how we're transforming enterprises and businesses, especially in key field industries, simplify the process of data collection in the field. That's going to be the core focus. We'll spend some time on a few slides introducing the solution and walk you through a solution demo on what you can expect from the solution, as well as focus on a case study of one of our customers that's using the solution quite successfully. So about us, so Innovative, we're based out of Houston, Texas, and we have a pretty broad global presence across the European region as well as in Asia, based out of Hyderabad, and our focus is solely on mobile workforce management solutions, specifically focused on enterprise asset management and supply chain areas. One of the key value propositions that we bring to the table is improving the level of dynamism when it comes to solutions, right? So our core technology is called RACE, and that is the same technology that has been used to build our digital dynamic form solution. All our solutions are device and platform agnostic, so whatever you see today, the solutions can run on smartphones or tablets across iOS, Android, or Windows operating systems, or even on desktop solutions. As a company, we're part of the SAP Partner Edge program for application development, and we've been honored to be, an SAP Pinnacle Award winner for 3 years in a row, and most notably, in last year in 2016, we won the Pinnacle Award for the Platform Co-Innovation Partner of the Year, where we beat out IBM and Intel for the RACE technology that you're about to see today. We're also a member of SAP's Partner Council for Innovation, where we drive key strategic platform-related roadmap for SAP based on industry as well as customer demand. Coming to our solution portfolio, the core areas, like I mentioned, that we focus on: enterprise asset management and supply chain. So 6 key solution sets that we bring to the table, right? And all of these solutions are integrated to SAP and SAP certified. So across plant maintenance, field services, field inspections, warehouse management, approval solutions, as well as the dynamic digital form solutions that you're about to see today. The core of all these solutions, the common binder for all these solutions, is the RACE technology. RACE stands for Rapid App Configuration Engine. So it simplifies the development as well as the configuration of solutions, the mobile as well as desktop solutions, through a unique drag and drop approach through a code-free configuration-based approach, right? In terms of the key customers that are using these solutions today, you'll see some of our most popular customers here across various industries, in oil and gas, life sciences, utilities, and where they see value is the time to market, how quickly they're able to mobilize some of these core business areas, leveraging, our technology as well as our pre-built SAP certified portfolio, right? Now, before I introduce the solution to you, right, what is the reason for us investing in a technology that's completely code-free, right? If you see, according to Gartner, there's a research paper that was published yesterday and which talks about, or last year, which talks about the demand for enterprise mobile applications, on how it's going to outstrip development capabilities by 5 to 1 by the end of the year, right? And what are some of those key development challenges that you probably have experienced if you're in the IT organization or in the business organization, right? The first thing is applications typically require 10 times more work today. Years ago, developers could build once and update rarely, right? And end users were all running a homogeneous corporate controlled desktop environment. Today, development needs to accommodate multiple devices, screen sizes, platform-specific languages, backend systems, and ongoing browser updates. That's all driving, more work on the development side. With that, the timelines for delivery have accelerated, right? With apps supporting core business strategies, every new solution or feature and fix, is an urgent bottom line issue, right? User preferences, niche business requirements, right? Competing solutions, they change so quickly that whatever you deliver to your end users need to be built in weeks rather than in months, right? Design issues can damage the business because users no longer tolerate bad design. Smartphones and consumer apps have raised expectations of usability, accessibility, and speed to an unprecedented standard, right? In fact, 79% of users will retry a mobile app only once or twice, and if it fails to work the first time, they're going to, not use the application. So no matter how tight the deadline for your project, right, every app needs to be thoughtfully designed and bug-free to succeed. And now change requests are a costly reality, right, because of tightened timelines and stringent UX standards. It means more frequent and ongoing change requests. So it's harder to manage that change, especially if you're across multiple platforms. And this is going to create an overwhelming backlog and take weeks to get through, right? And finally, skill sets are in short supply. With technology changing so rapidly, it's hard to find the right programmers with the right skill sets that understand the business problem and are able to, deliver solutions that meet those requirements, right? So what's our solution? And this is where Race, answers some of these challenges that are plaguing enterprise IT organizations, right? So with Race, most of our customers, these are the kind of numbers that they're experiencing: 40 to 50% reduction in the application development cost, about a 50% reduction in development timelines because the config-only pre-built solution model helps them accelerate the development and the deployment of these solutions. And finally, a lower total cost of ownership. So this is, this translates into a faster return on investment to your business users. So that kind of drives and sets the stage for what you're about to see next with the digital form solution, right? So one of the use cases that is on the forefront, right, of mobilization, digitization is the paper-based forms, right? Because one of the most basic ways businesses are being helped today is to remove paper elements from their day-to-day life. That's happening on the consumer front, and we're translating the same thing to the enterprise level as well, right? So you remove paper from day-to-day life, it makes processes more streamlined and improves employee as well as your customer satisfaction. And the most basic type of paperwork that can be digitized is forms, right? So what are some of the key elements to consider when it comes to rolling out a solution that, as you're looking to eliminate paper-based processes from your enterprise, right? It's fairly obvious. There's going to be system requirements, like which is the best technology to go with, or what is what devices and platforms do I need to support, right? So while you take all that into consideration, it's important to focus on the end user as well, right? So as you anticipate the number of form templates that need to be housed, take into consideration the volume of data, the volume of forms being processed and stored in the future, and the process of converting your paper-based forms to the digital forms or dynamic forms. It needs to be straightforward, but there's going to be, time that needs to be allocated to actually design, test, and setting up that solution. So those are some of the things to consider, right? And the goal is to collect error-free data, right? So what that means is setting up validations and rules. And today's digital solutions can give you extremely powerful tools that can prevent users from making simple mistakes, right? Like when they put in the incorrect data format, or pulling incorrect data, or setting up rules, right? So it's important to conduct these feedback sessions with your users that makes use of, the device-based features and functionality that's available in most of today's consumer-grade devices, be it, an iPad or a smartphone. You're looking at, capabilities like, location awareness, like automatic time tracking, where you can, capture date and time stamps and other information. You have the ability to work in connected or disconnected states with location awareness, right? Using photos and videos. So all of these key factors, come into how, your solution is framed and how it can provide the value to the user using the application, right? So without the business case, without the value driver for dynamic forms, there's no justification for the end goal, right? So key three value drivers that we focus on to bringing to the business community while they switch from paper to a mobile device or a tablet is speed, accuracy, and automation, right? So with speed comes improved employee productivity. So the time that it takes to process a set of inspections or a set of checklist steps that they need to go through, as well as getting that data to the source system, to the backend system, or to your data repository in the soonest possible time frame, so that if there is a deficiency, if there is a defect, how does that get handled and how soon that can be addressed, right? So those are some of the key drivers when it comes to improving speed, both of data capture as well as speed of decision making when it comes through when the rubber hits the road, when the data gets plugged into the system. The second point is the accuracy, which we already touched upon, right? More accurate data supported with real-time validation of data as well. So, using inbuilt validation rules as well as inbuilt drop-downs within the solution to make sure that, the user doesn't really make any mistakes as they're inputting data. And then once a form is submitted or data is submitted to the backend to run validation checks on the device to make sure they didn't leave out a critical piece of information while submitting data to the system. And finally, automation, right? Automation means automating workflows so that you can actually drive action from the data that's been collected. So if that includes decision points, maybe your users were doing a round or an inspection reading, and they noticed a threshold overlap, right? Something that went over the allowable value. What happens then? Can you trigger a notification to be created automatically in the system, right? So those are automation workflows that can be set up and integrated. And for that, it's important to have integration with your backend system of record. So as you're going to see today, we're going to show you the form solution integrated with a back-end SAP plant maintenance module. So it's integration to work orders, it's an integration to, the notifications. So the data captured in the field can drive proactive action and information to the right stakeholders. Right. So in terms of speed of implementing the forms, right? As you start designing the forms, you could use a developer to go build out all the forms, but that is a time-consuming process, and it takes time, right? So depending on your needs and your resource availability, right? It's important to make sure as you build these forms, you can build these forms fast, right? So with Raise Digital Forms, one of the key factors is as you convert your forms from digital or from paper to digital, it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to build, a specific form, right? So it's not going to take you hours or days, right? So as your business requirements and as your ideas, are sent to your IT organization or the business key users, you can build these forms in minutes. And how we support that is through customizable templates, right? We have a web-based builder tool that you'll see today with dozens of templates, including different data types, conditional logic, and field types that are all built in. So you can design exactly what you need to control your data collection workflow. Photos, videos, and attachments, right? Capture geotagged pictures, record videos, and easily collect audio notes from the field and upload them to the cloud or your system of record for secure storage and easy access. You can manage teams and roles, right? So we provide configurable role options for defining and controlling what your mobile users are permitted to do. Automatic location capture with GIS or geolocation support, right? Everything you need to collect data with is automatically tagged with, a GPS location. So you can also see, where data needs to be captured on a map. So you can plan your route, plan your day. Your users can, and as well as use base maps, right, from your GIS system, whether it's an Esri-based system or a GE Small World GIS system. So we work with GIS partners to provide that capability. The ability to push changes on demand in real time, that's important, right? When you make changes to the form, due to the dynamic nature of the form, even while it's in use, your changes are deployed immediately to the users in the field, right? So there's no need to redistribute files or require your mobile users to do anything, right? It's an automatic sync of data. Finally, the predefined templates, be it industry-based, be it process-based, you have dozens of predefined templates that you can leverage to build these forms quickly. Finally, the offline and online access, the Raise Dynamic Form solution can be used offline in full disconnected environments to collect data. So which means data is stored on the device and synced back to your backend system of record or on the cloud, once you reach a Wi-Fi or cellular coverage. And finally, cloud and on-prem options. So when you sync data from your mobile device, data is sent back to either our cloud or your on-prem solution for easy storage access by your team. So your backend supervisors, they have access to that data. They can run reports. They can drive follow-up actions with the information that's captured in the field. Right? So that kind of talks about the feature functionality of the solution itself. But now how does this translate into business value? So we'll focus on one of our case study here, which is for gas pipeline inspection. So the customer itself has close to 7,300 miles of gas transmission pipeline in the Northeast, with close to 800 pipeline integrity technicians, the average number of inspections per year over the last 10 years was about 450,000 per year. Right, so which translates to about 565 inspections per inspector per year, right? So high cost and very key critical process to manage, the high volume of data that's being captured in the field, right? When we started working with the customer, only 40% of about 300 forms were digital. So about 130 forms out of 300 were digital, and that was over the span of the last 8 to 10 years. So it took them about 8 to 10 years to get to that 130 forms. So that was kind of the customer situation, and one of the key challenge that even with the 130 forms that they had was they did not have the dynamism for those forms, meaning changes were hard to make and implement even on the existing forms. But one of the key challenges they were facing is the flexibility. They did not have the flexibility or the capacity to adapt, right? Because in their business, everything is driven by the PHMSA authority, right? By the Department of Transportation. So which drives everything from the pipe size, the pressure in the pipes, the material, or what kind of environmental conditions is that based on. So all those factors drive changes to the actual data and the data elements that are captured in the field. So that means, every year there's a certain percentage of the forms that needed to be captured. The failure types and the failure mechanisms were being changed pretty frequently. So those values, those drop downs, et cetera, need to be changed in the system as well. So that posed an enormous challenge as they did not have the dynamism required, by a true digital solution. So in terms of the future state where the customer went, so they went from 40% paper, 60% legacy devices, the rugged handheld Windows, traditional Windows-based devices, which with a 3-inch screen, to running these inspections on ruggedized iPads, right, with raised digital forms. So the goal was, so where they got to was 100% field capture on consumer-grade mobile devices. So this meant less end-user training and faster adoption in the end-user community, right? So which led to a 12% increase in workforce capacity. And, the volume of inspections per inspector per year, rose up. It went to 625. And that resulted in, a high productivity increase on the inspector side, as well as 50% improvement in backlog and compliance in the first year, right? Bringing down their cost per inspection, as well as, resulting in a savings of close to $12 million per year, and that's across 800 field inspectors, right? So reduced training, change management in mobile devices, and coupled with, highly flexible, agile, and modern enterprise mobility framework to manage change. That's the solution that was delivered, and it resulted in, immediate business value savings on that specific customer use case, right? So that's what you'll see today as part of the demo, which we'll switch to next. So we'll focus on two key aspects in the demo. So one is the forms builder, how easy it is to actually build a form, and two would be the actual integration with the SAP backend system. So in this case, we'll talk about the field inspection use case with the SAP backend integration as well. So what you see on the screen right now is the RACE, the forms development tool. So this is the RACE Dynamic Forms, the IT front end. As well as on the right side, you'll see how the changes are made on a typical mobile device. In this case, I'm using an iPhone. So as I develop the form, you'll see that being translated on the iPhone in real time, right? So you have some pre-built set of menus on the left side on my app builder, so wherein you can see different templates are available on the application itself. So in order to build my first form, which I'm going to do is an inspection form, I'm going to select an inspection template. I'll make a copy of the inspection template, and then I will go in and define what kind of inspection that I want to do today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a pole inspection. So assume an electric utility company that wants its users, to do pole inspection, but instead of paper, they want to do it on an iPhone. So I'll give it, the pole inspection. I can give it a key number, in this case, A001. I want an icon to be able to select, on my display. So I'll choose my icon, and I want to change the icon color. So, the theming of the solution is easily changeable. So I'll give it a bright red color, put that in as my settings, and then I can save this in. So, and I activate the form. And then now I can choose who I want to assign this form to. So this has role-based settings, be it by user groups, by roles, or by different authorization objects tied to your backend systems, either Active Directory or Windows. So that enables that. Once I set up my form, I have that pushed to my mobile device in real time, right? So now I have my pole inspection A001. And it has 18 different elements on that form. So that's already assigned to me. I have that available on my screen. So I made the change, and that change was pushed to the device in real time. So next, I want to go in and say, what happens once I go into my inspection, right? What are the different elements or the screens that I need to be create within that solution, right? So here I have different screen options, right? So I have a few buttons that were copied over from my template. So I have a left button in this case, which you'll see here. So I can choose a label on my form, and then I have my form itself, right? So I have a left button, a label. The third item is a form. So I can change my label here to match my inspection type. And then I have my form body. So this kind of drives what data I can store within my form. So right now, I activated 4 of these elements within my form. So now this is all stored to the form, and it's pushing in real time to the device. And when I click on the full inspection, so you'll see that data being captured directly onto the form itself. So the next aspect is, how do you define what's inside the form, right? What are the different fields? What are the different values? Or the data elements that need to be contained within the form? So this is my extension screen. So it shows me available field types. So I have 4 different, I have different field types within the screen on there. So by default, based on my template, everything comes turned off. So I can go into the screen and say, now I want to activate these fields on there. So I can turn on some of these fields. So I'm activating some of the fields within the form. So I can pick, a region field, an area. So I have a few questions that are already part of the form. So I turn on those questions, and I activate a few fields on the form, right? So there's close to 10 fields that I activated on the form right now. So as I go back and forth, so I go into that screen, you'll see those 10 fields being pushed onto the form in real time. So I have, 3 different sections built into the form. I have the pole location data, I have an attachment section, and I have my inspection data section, right? So you'll see, okay, one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is, I have my videos, but it actually points to a camera. So I know there's something not right over there. So I can go in and say, I want to make that change on the attachment section because right now I see it's stored as an, right? So I want to switch over that to a video field. So now I have my drop-down capability, right, where I have different field types. So there's close to 20 different field types, depending on the action the user is doing. So I can select a video recording field and save that onto the device. If I want to add the photo capture capability, I can say I can make a copy of an existing field. So in this case, I'm going to make a copy of my video field, and then I'm going to change that to an image. So I call that an image capture. I'll say where I want that on my form, and switch it to an image field. So that's how easy it is to go in and create new fields. So you can customize everything from the UI label to the default position, make it, mandatory or optional. I can do that as well. And then as you do that, it checks against the system to see if there's, an existing record with that same. So the validation, the form validates, make sure that, every piece of data you do has a unique field, a unique storage point in the backend to store to. So you can select different backend storage options. So here I'm actually selecting a field where I can go in and store that image as as my user in the field captures a photo, right? In this case, go back and change my UI label here. I'll call it image again. And as I save this, so what I did was basically, I created a new field on the image, and then I changed the video type of field to actually capture video, right? So these two changes now, as I go back to my mobile device and refresh my form, you'll see those two changes push real time, right? So now in the attachment section, I have two fields for image as well as video. So my image field has the camera and my video field has the video. So those are all integrated to the device capabilities. So I can go in, so as I go in and capture an image or capture a video, it shows up onto the device and stored onto the device literally in real time. Next step would be, I want to add some further questions within the form, right? So right now, if you see in my inspection data, I have 3 values. I have a date, I have, and 2 other questions, right? So if I need to add another question, it's that simple. It'll take me less than 2 minutes to do that. So I can go in, select an existing field. So, and then I can go make a copy on the existing field. So I can see what my existing question is, existing parameter for that form. And I can go in and say, let me make a copy of this. So now I copy the existing field, and the only thing that I need to change is my destination. So I update my destination, and then I can go in and change the question that I want to pose to the user using that form. So in this case, I want to put in a question called if it's a hazardous location. So I put in my hazardous location question, and I can save that value on there. And as I go through the screen, I can see more, more values that I can enter in. So I have the ability to do dynamic drop-down. So I can select, from my drop-down list, I can select the dynamic drop-down field, or, that does the data validation based on certain values. So in this case, I have a list of values that I maintain, whether it's, based on the area or based on whether the type of field. I have different drop-down values here. So I can go choose different values from this list. So here I have a residential or a different type of area. So this can be defined based on the type of form you're building out and the type of user selection. With that, I can quickly add what I want is going to have a drop down based on there, and then as I save the field, I can now pass that on to the device, right? So now I hit the save button to save the field. And then once I go back and refresh my device, you'll see the data retrieving. Then as I scroll to the bottom, you'll see, the new field that I added called the hazardous location rule that shows up on the device as well. This kind of, walks through the end-to-end process, like, pretty much of how you can quickly create a form in about, 5 minutes. And, once, your forms are defined, you can then integrate that to your back-end process. So in this case, what we've done is we've actually taken the form solution and integrated that to our planned maintenance solution. So What you're seeing now here is a tablet, an iPad, which is running our mobile plan maintenance solution. So it's called the M work order for plan maintenance. So as I go in through this solution, you'll see certain plan maintenance objects. So the user can see their work orders or their notifications. There's the equipment, functional locations, as well as, operator rounds and measuring points. So if I go into, a list of work as a technician, so you'll see I have all my forms on the left side. So this is, the typical end user use case once you've built close to 30 or 40 different forms and push that to your end user. So they'll see, in a day's work, they'll see all the type of inspections or all the kinds of data points that they need to capture. They can search for specific data forms that they're looking at. So either they're looking at something that's an atmospheric, corrosion type of inspection. They can search for that form type, and as they scroll through that, they'll see data from the plant maintenance system. So in this case, I have work order related information from my maintenance system. I have historical data. Again, it's pulling from my core maintenance system. What's the history of that? What is my associated piece of equipment tied to the inspection item that I'm about to inspect? Is there some other piece of equipment that I need to be looking at, and do I need to take action on? So I get access to that information. I have my information visible on a map. So here I have a GIS map that shows me the exact touch points and where the objects are, where the inspection points lie. So I can switch between layers. So I can go from a typical map to a satellite-based map, right? So I can click on the satellite-based map, and then I can see where my inspection points lie and how I can get access to my specific inspection points. So this also brings in all your base layers. So if you have various base layers, and if you use a GIS system, you can bring in other base layers as well. Now coming to the form itself, so you'll see the different form types here, right? So I have my inspection entry that I need to do on this specific work order. I can switch on the instructions, and I see what my task description is. So I have key instructions or work instructions directly on the form. So you see the instruction button at the bottom, that brings in inspection-related instructions on the specific form. Now, as I key in data, I have value points, so I can go in and say, this is my drop-down value. It gives me, in a multiple choice fashion, the type of answer that I need to key in. So this is fully configurable. So based on, the drop-down, the dynamic list that you maintain for each question, it pops up the relevant answers on there, right? So all the user needs to do is pull the list up and select. We also have the capability to save drafts. So if you see right at the bottom of the screen, you have two different buttons in addition to the instructions. You can either save as draft, which is a draft button, or you have a submit button. So when I click on the draft button, it doesn't submit the form, so it just leaves the form in an open state, so that I can go in and make changes to the form as needed, right? So that leaves the form in an open state as well. So the next thing that we'll focus on is the validation capability, right? Or if you want to pull in some other type of form. So from the form, I go into, let's say, a consumer meter visit, or I want to select a form that has built-in validation, because you want to make sure once your technician or the field data collector is leaving a site, you want to make sure that they capture all that data that's needed before they walk out of the site, right? So in this case, what I have done is I've set up a validation rule for a very key question on this, right? So I'm going to key in my date. So I have the first 3 questions. So I'm going to go into my date, and then I'll enter some data here into my vent data field. I'll just call it dry. And then if you see the gas escaping from the well question, I populated it as yes, right? So immediately when I try to save or submit the form, I get a validation pop-up that I designed that says enter comments, right? So when I switch the answer to no, it helps me bypass the validation. So you can set up rules for each one of these fields on what kind of validation you want to drive, right? Be it validations related to a specific question or based on data capture, and based on the validation, what end action do you want to drive in the system? Do you want to create a notification, or do you want to notify a supervisor? Based on all of those rules that are set up in the system, you can actually drive proactive action and proactive decision at the level as well. So in addition, one of the things that I kind of touched upon earlier was the map capability. So in terms of the GIS integration capability, the solution itself comes with integration to some of the, in an SV-based GIS system, or a GE small world-based GIS system. So we have our GIS integration partners who bring in that capability. So one of the first solutions to offer, the actual inspection data directly on the map, right, tied to the source, the backend system of record. So quite a bit of functionality here in terms of the ability to integrate multiple systems. So what you saw basically was the integration of the forms, the dynamic form solution, together with the SAP plan maintenance backend system, as well as the GIS system, right? So this kind of touches across three different systems, and put the solution on one single application on a tablet that's for your users to consume, right? So that's kind of what the solution, the true capabilities of the solution is. All right. So now have a couple minutes left, so quickly switch over to take a couple questions in terms of the audience here. So if you have any questions, feel free to type it into the chat window so that I can take those questions. So one of the questions that I have is regarding the offline capability of the application. Can the solution completely work in a fully disconnected state? If so, what is the volume of data that can be stored? So yes, the solution is fully offline capable. So depending on your situation, where your users are capturing data, all the forms are dynamically stored on the device, and the volume of data is just dependent on the type of device. So with a typical 64 GB iPad, you can capture quite a lot of pictures, photographs, and of course, if your volume of data is going to be higher, you can just, it's all driven by device capability. So, an average iPad with 64 gigs of data is pretty solid when it comes to the amount of data that it can capture. The other question is, what are some of the device types supported? So, all the iOS devices, be it iPhones or iPads, or on the Android side, we support a lot of Android tablets, and for some of our users, they use it in intrinsically safe locations. For them, we have Class 1 or Div 2 kind of tablets that support the functionality as well. So it's device and platform agnostic, like I mentioned at the start. So there's a wide range of devices that can be supported. Right. All right. I see a few more questions, but unfortunately, my clock tells me that we're out of time. So we'll respond to those questions via email directly. So if you have any other questions, feel free to send us a note. I'd be more than happy to get in touch with you. Thank you.
Sri, thank you for your great insight. And with that, today's webinar comes to an end. Thank you all for attending. If you're interested in learning more on this topic, you can visit the Innovative website or contact us directly via email or Twitter. Subscribe to the Innovative blog for the latest insight and news from our digital strategy experts. Thank you.